Hey friends, today I want to talk about how to start healing from chronic pain. I was in pain for 6 years before I figured out that there was nothing physically wrong with me. So today I want to tell you a little bit about the steps that I took that hopefully you can take too to live a life free of pain. The first step to start your healing process from chronic pain is something you've probably already done, which is to rule out any physical causes of your pain. This involves often going to a doctor or going to see specialists. Many people have done multiple steps in this process trying to figure out what exactly is the source of their pain. I tried lots of different things when I was trying to figure out what was going on with my leg pain, including going to see a doctor, getting some scans, seeing a physical therapist, trying strategies like stretching and yoga, even wearing different shoes. I have personally tried every single mail order mattress company that has a 90-day at-home trial that exists on the internet, and none of those things actually helped me to cure my pain because my pain was mind-body chronic pain. Step number 2 involves learning about mind-body pain, also sometimes referred to as TMS. My preferred term is actually perceived danger pain, because to me that speaks to what the pain really is based on, this sense of perceiving danger, not feeling safe. There are some classic well-known figures in the world of mind-body or TMS, such as Dr. Joseph Sarno and his books. I personally was introduced to the concept of mind-body pain through the book The Way Out by Alan Gordon and Alon Ziv, which I recommend. I'll link below to that book. And after I read The Way Out, I was able to connect with other resources on the internet, including people like Dan Buglio and his Pain For You channel, which I highly recommend as well, and things like the Cure for Chronic Pain podcast with Nicole Sachs. It's important to cultivate an openness to these concepts because it kind of goes against what a lot of people are traditionally taught about chronic pain and pain itself. Which brings us to step number 3, which is to cultivate a curiosity about your experience that will hopefully open you up to a broader perspective that it might not be something that is physically wrong with you, but rather there might be some other things going on related to your emotional experience, stress levels, or as I often like to talk about, this perceived danger and how that is causing your brain to send you pain signals in the form of your chronic pain or other symptoms. Personally, I think one of the best ways to cultivate this openness and curiosity is to look for people who have success stories using mind-body work to overcome their chronic pain. And if you're watching this video, you're watching someone who used mind-body work to overcome chronic pain. While I'm not a doctor or a medical professional, I do know that for a lot of people, if their pain extends beyond 6 months after an inciting incident or an injury, there's a very good chance that mind-body work might be effective in reducing or even curing their chronic pain. And an important thing to remember is even if it's not the sole solution to the chronic pain, it will help. It can't hurt you to practice some of these strategies, especially ones that are around sending your body messages of safety. One of my favorite ways to send my body messages of safety is through the practice of somatic tracking. If you've never heard of somatic tracking before, it is a guided exercise in recognizing sensations in your body, and you can use it to identify the areas that are causing the most pain. For a lot of people with chronic pain, even just one instance of practicing somatic tracking can help them to notice not only does their pain change its flavor, change its intensity, even sometimes go away in only one session of somatic tracking, the fact that the pain shifts, changes, or the sensations move around is often evidence that mind-body work will be part of the solution of healing from chronic pain. Somatic tracking is something that you can do in under 10 minutes a day. When I have been in pain in the past or when occasional pain flares occur in my life, it's my first thing that I go to. There are lots of different ways to practice somatic tracking, but if you want to check out my video, you can check it out up here. As a bonus tip, sometimes I find it useful to do somatic tracking 2 times because the first time is an experience of reducing and processing the anxiety that might be lingering in my body. And the second time I'm more regulated in my nervous system and therefore able to actually go through the exercise and pay attention to my pain in a way that doesn't bring the story along with it, which is an important element of somatic tracking. That leads me to step number 5, which is noticing your thinking sand traps. Now, I'm not a golfer, I don't play golf, but I like the concept of a sand trap because it's a place you don't really want to end up, but it happens. It's also a place that you're not going to get stuck. We're not talking about a sand pit of quicksand. We're talking about something that shows up as an obstacle. And a lot of times when people deal with chronic pain, they have a lot of sand trap thinking. So sand trap thinking might be something like I mentioned earlier about an urgency of this pain is intolerable, I have to get out of pain, or I have to do this healing process perfectly. I have to do the same things every single day. Sand trap thinking might also be thinking like, this won't work for me. There's a reason why it works for these people, but that won't work for me. That's something that can also hold us back from healing. Sand trap thinking shows up for me in when my brain tries to think that it's actually still something physical in my environment that causes my pain. My brain's favorite form of sand trap thinking is thinking, oh, you know what? It actually is something physical. It's the way that you sat in that chair or the mattress you've been sleeping on in this hotel room when you're on vacation, or it's sitting for too long, not moving. So whenever I notice my brain trying to go back to that, there's a physical reason behind my pain, which I know is not the case. I've definitely ruled that out, and I've seen how with just mind-body practices, I can live long stretches of time without any pain. The best way to deal with this version of my sand trap thinking is just to acknowledge it, not trying to fight it. Resistance is a big part of what keeps us in chronic pain. So what do you do when you find yourself stuck in sand trap thinking? This is where we cultivate messages of safety. If you haven't seen my other videos on cultivating messages of safety, I will link them here. But essentially, messages of safety are going to be unique to the individual. Some people like to remind themselves things like, these sensations are safe. I actually find in the early stages of recovering from chronic pain, it's very helpful to recognize that while I might be experiencing some sensations, I don't have to label them as pain. I might be experiencing some sensations, but I am also experiencing other sensations in my body, some of which are pleasant sensations. This is where other practices that many people advocate for, like meditation, gratitude journaling, or even just savoring the glimmers of life. My personal message of safety that I use whenever I get the littlest twinge of pain, which happens from time to time, I'm not going to lie and say I never experience any pain flares, but when they do, I remind myself, I know what this is. This is perceived danger pain. I am safe. And something else that I like to add on is I like to talk to myself as if I were another person and say things like, I'm going to take care of you. You can trust me. Once we've established our messages of safety, again, they're going to be completely individual and unique to the person that you are. You can practice some of the other strategies for going into and going deeper into your emotions. Emotional literacy is actually one of my favorite tools to use when it comes to recovering from chronic pain. Emotional literacy is another way of talking about things like emotional intelligence, or essentially our ability to recognize what we're feeling. It's actually a lot harder than it sounds, but I'm going to show you what to do. After I did the previous steps, I started doing something called mind-body journaling, or as I like to call it, rage on the page. Now, you don't only have to express anger, but for a lot of people with chronic pain, they have many repressed emotions. And for many people in our culture, anger is one of the emotions that we tend to most often repress. Rage on a page is where you write down all the thoughts in your head that you would never want anyone, even a therapist, to see, to read, to witness, or to hear. This is where you let it all out. And for many people, it takes a little bit of warming up to that process because we're building that sense of self-trust. We're building the sense that it's actually safe to feel these emotions. And you can check out the link below if you want to check out my guided Rage on a Page journal prompts. And I hope you'll have the experience that I had when I first did mind-body journaling, and my pain basically melted away as I filled up the pages of a journal. Step number 8 is practicing self-compassion. To me, self-compassion is the opposite of that urgency, of that I have to get out of pain. You can take a minute and recognize that this is really hard. Being in chronic pain, being in pain regularly is really emotionally challenging. And I invite you to look at yourself the way you might look at a friend or a beloved pet or even a younger version of yourself. Step number 9 is a fun one. This is where you get to create your persona, your protective persona if you'd like. In my opinion, one of the coolest ways to recover from chronic pain is to reclaim agency in your own life. Because I teach creative writing, I like to invite my clients to develop their own protective persona. My version is kind of a combination of a mama bear and a powerful lawyer in the courtroom who's going to defend me against accusations. And I like to refer to my persona as fierce mama bear energy. A client of mine used Joan Jett as her protective persona because her persona that was empowered was punk rock. And finally, step number 10 is to build your emotional literacy skills, which if you're curious to learn more about that, please subscribe to this channel because I'm going to talk a lot about emotional literacy in the coming videos. But what I mean by emotional literacy is knowing, recognizing, acknowledging, and validating our emotions and tending to the needs that those emotions are trying to communicate to us from a place of loving self-compassion and self-trust. And here's a bonus tip. Work with a coach, someone like me. If you want to schedule a free curiosity call to talk more about how I can help you recognize your emotions, build your emotional literacy skills, and overcome chronic pain, check out the link below to get a spot on my calendar. I've got a couple of spots opening up for one-on-one coaching, and I'd love to work with you.